Are you ready?
We're doing this. We're talking comics. Heavy metal. Here we are with another episode of Heavy Metal. Today we're going to do a deep dive on this issue of Heavy Metal, which is July 2010, so about 10 years ago. This is not considered the best era of the magazine. This is kind of where it gets a little rough. Well, it gets rough in the 90s, but yeah, this isn't the best. But you know what? There's some good things in here, and let's go through it. And we ain't got a problem with it because it is heavy metal. It is still the premier adult fantasy, world's foremost adult illustrated fantasy magazine. So booyah, how you like them apples? So why don't we flip the camera around and take a peek at all the joys and goodies that is in Heavy Metal, July 2010. Okay, let's do this. I'm recording this at 1080p, which hopefully some of you have noticed. Basically, I am trying to bring it up a notch. So we are going to bring it up a notch by putting a little bit more production in here, and hopefully you guys can see the art better and all that jazz. So didn't really think you'll want to see my mug necessarily at 1080, but I figured, you know what, let's do this, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better, just a little bit better, baby. Let's do this. Okay, so let's start us off. So we're gonna go through these ads too. There's a number of ads in here, which isn't a bad thing, but it's a thing. So first you got this little ads of books and stuff, and a lot of this, is back in the 80s and 70s. We saw a lot of these like books they were selling that were more like Mobius stuff and Bial and all these different like more European artists. Now it feels like this is much more geared towards like the anime crowd, and don't know why that is, but a lot of this is really kind of lowbrow, like Dirty by the Dozen. This is kind of like softcore porn stuff. And then you got Blade the Immortal, which is kind of strange because that is actually a quality book, and then a bunch of like just drivel. That's just the way it is. We're gonna see a lot of those types of ads. It's the way it goes. By the way, I didn't mention the cover. The cover is Luis Royo. He's pretty popular, or he's used often here. He also had he's a pretty well-known illustrator in the same vein as like Boris Viejo, stuff like that. So I like his stuff. This era of 2010 is back when Kevin Eastman was the publisher and editor-in-chief. So he's the main guy at this point, and he's the editor-in-chief for many years. So that's where we're going. And the main story really is this big, the one about Gilgamesh, this epic of Gilgamesh, Uruk's throne. That's the main story in this book. And then we got a couple small stories in it, but let's take a look at what we got. Letters to the editor, no big deal. Yeah, I don't have much comments on darkbrain.com. Darkbrain.com, webcomics with balls. I'm not so sure I'm buying that. It's more like webcomics with some boobs, because I'm not seeing no balls, but I'm seeing a lot of boobs in there. So, it is what it is, guys. So, again, not something really to mention. This is an artist, Robert McCall, who I guess was a kind of a painter of space things. He passed away, so there's a little article on him. Another ad. I wonder how much these ads cost back then. I'm really curious. This is Asylum Press, and they are kind of more horror, schlocky horror type books. They're at Comic-Con. I see them in San Diego a lot. So, I mean, not a lot, but I see them every year. They got their booth. And again, it's just like, you know how there's like B horror movies, B movies, I kind of feel like it's the same thing. There's B comics where they have the creative teams that like can draw, do all these things, but it starts with such a bad story premise and writing that it doesn't matter that this guy can illustrate and he can like render stuff because the story is just like, you know, it all starts with the freaking script. And anyway, bless their heart. Hey, they put an ad out. I can't hate on them. And there's people that love their stuff, so I'm not going to hate on it. I'm just saying, you know, I'm in my mid-40s, bro. I can't play with that stuff. Okay, Dan Levisi, this little illustrator. You know, I really like these illustrations. I feel like illustrators are, and forgive me, but, you know, a lot of the illustrators back in the day were comic artists. Now, they don't do comics. They just go into illustration. And I think the reason why is because comics is a grind. Like, comics, you don't just get to draw a head of the Predator and sit here and spend, you know, a week on doing this. You have to draw pages and various poses and camera and characters and different dimensions and perspectives. And so it's like, it's a grind. Like, doing a comic book is honestly the next level of illustration. It's harder than just illustration. Illustration, I can take some photos, I can compose a shot, and that's your shot. That's your big panel, your splash page, right? That's your illustration. But you talking about making a freaking comic book? There's a lot that goes into that, man. There's a lot goes into that. And it's not just one image. It's like, you know, a couple hundred images for a 20, you know, it's maybe 100 images for a 24-page book. So, you know, a lot of these illustrators are like, forget that, I ain't doing that. I have no words for the Budweiser chopper. I just, I don't know what to say about that one. Don't know what to say about it. These illustrations from the tarot card set, I've seen these in other issues around this time, so there must be like a reoccurring thing where they're doing like an illustration per tarot card. But this is Julie Bell, this is Boris Viejo, I mentioned him before. He's got that kind of fun, you know, comes out of that Frazetta school. I really like this one. This looks like it's an oil, and I really thought this was kind of fun. I like this one a lot. By Anthony Palumbo. Okay, here's the first story, Remnants. And I dig it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of this new show on HBO called Raised by Wolves, just a little bit. I like the colors, kind of the tones. You know, it's all digital, but that's fine. I dig it. I dig the rendering and the panel composition here. It's kind of nice. Some of it's kind of cool. I don't know if I don't know if that works really. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I always like these little like bowed panels. Those are kind of fun. It's the pull-out panel with the Chaikin does a lot of that kind of deal. And then like most things, you know, there's a twist, and so these people that they liberate, you know, are now like suppressed, and they're like they're soulless, you know, kind of the way that goes. Twilight Zone-y. Okay, here's another ad. Zenoscope. Here's another Comic-Con guy we always see. These are the kind of cheesecake meets like Grimm fairy tale type stuff. Again, to me, dude, it's schlocky. It's well rendered, but it's like the subject matter. I just feel like, dude, really? I mean, you could be drawing like some really cool stuff, but to each his own. And if it pays the bills, I'm not gonna hate on Grimm fairy tales, although I just did. So apologize to the Zenoscope guys out there. The Big Payback. I kind of liked this. I felt like this is interesting. I'm not sure if it's penciled or what. It looked like it's just like scanned in pencils. It's kind of neat, a little different. Let's see here. McCormick, so he might be American. We'll take a wild guess there. He could be Irish for all I know. Or is that Scottish? Yeah, there's a little bit of like wonkiness to it, but tons of texture. I mean, he just kind of goes all out on putting stuff on there. A little crime story. Kind of fun. Oh, what's this? Yeah, this is interesting. I haven't seen these before, but I guess heavy metal kind of started doing some like pulp stories, kind of novels. So that was kind of interesting. And it's illustrated. I'm curious to see if it's just the cover or if it's like interspersed a number of illustrations in the book, because that would be kind of interesting. Okay, here's the Gilgamesh story, the Epic of Gilgamesh. You might know some of the history of that character and all that. I really like this. This is really well done. I like the colors a lot. It's got that painterly look. You know, I'm sure it's digitally painted, but it looks very well done. And I thought that this guy, these are just some great panels, great shots here. And a lot of work goes into this. I mean, this is, and it's not like 8 pages. It's like, this is probably a good 30-page story, maybe even more. And I just felt like this was, I really like this monochromatic look to it. Really nice panel there too. Good action. Isn't this nice? This is just like really nice stuff here. Got that Conan Barbarian kind of look with a little bit of a more modern kind of take on it. Got the big war bears and the dude. I like this kind of clannish, again, Conan kind of sword and sandals kind of stories. Interesting about the square lettering. I think that's fine. I do feel like heavy metal. I've learned more about lettering styles with heavy metal just because they do it differently, right? I don't know if it's a European or what, but you know, they do the tails differently. They do boxes. They do different little like things, which is kind of fun just because you can see the different things are out there. We got some chicks here at the baths. We learn a bit about his history, and comes from this kind of warrior clan. And that's like the priestess chick. Of course, there's always a priestess chick topless. I mean, it is heavy metal, right? There's some boxes we have to check off here, guys, and that's part of it. But look at this here. This is really nice. This lighting effect, it's really well done. All this stuff. Yeah, look at that great atmospheric perspective, which is fun. You know, that's really nice. That's a really nice painting. I mean, this is really good stuff. I mean, this is illustration, right? So we're talking about like, yeah, you do one piece. This dude's doing a whole freaking, you know, thing. I like this. You know, I'd be interested to see what if he modeled all this out. I'm always curious about that, like what level of rendering and how it's kind of composed and stuff. I'm sure he used models for some of this. He had to have. And I do like the transition, the kind of color palette changes by scenes. Look at that. Let me go back to this. Look at that nice, these thin like veils. And look how nice that turned out. Yeah, it's really well done. It's hard to do, showing that kind of sheer stuff. I like all this, like, again, atmospheric perspective, showing that depth through the tones. That's a great example. There you go. That's a perfect example of it. That's another trick. It's hard to do to really show this. It's not just simply lighting this, you know, using different tones. You really have to kind of think about that and make it look good. It's tricky. Even a scene like this is really hard to do. Interesting how he went ahead and did this. He kind of played up this hard line, this like almost like a rim light around him. Give it kind of a flattened out effect. Curious why he did that here. He doesn't do it there on her. She's rendered really well, by the way. This is really well done. I'm saying that's a photograph. The way those hands are done. I'm saying that's a model, at least for some of the positioning. Yeah. Here's another ad. This is just total, just schlocky, just porny stuff. Not really entertaining. Okay, it's kind of a cool little story. I like this. Neat little alien world. I like the drawing. Again, check out the word balloons. How different they are. Kind of fit the story. This was kind of neat. I like the tones too of this. It's kind of muted blues and browns and such. This is always fun because you get a catalog of all these, issues. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I want? Oh, there's these ones I missed a couple years ago, and blah blah blah. And, look, you can go back to March '78. Look at Corbin's Den. You know what I mean? It's just kind of cool to see all these old issues. That's interesting. They offered a slipcase with all issues from a given year. I'd like to see what that looks like. A nice little slipcase that you can put them all in. That's kind of cool. Back issues, $8. Oh man, pretty rad. This one I'm not too in love with. I felt like it's just a little bit, the bar is just a little bit lowered on this, and I'm not trying to dog anybody out. I'm just kind of speaking from my gut here a little bit. Sometimes you get that with heavy metal. It's hard to be an editor for this company where every month you gotta find people who make comics to make this story, that fits your genre, your kind of theme and stuff. And so it's a challenge. And sometimes you pick awesome winners and sometimes you don't. So that one's a little tricky. Another cheese bag ad. Here's another short story. This is not bad. Kind of like the coloring of it. And this is actually not, there's nothing wrong with this. It's not super exciting, but the way this is, it's not bad. Uh-oh. They're vampires. They're going down. He's going down. Someone's going down. But you can't bite into him. Here's some more books. Now, sometimes you would see a Samobia stuff or Monera in here. And then I noticed some Robert Crumb. So, I don't know who. So somehow this company, Heavy Metal, I'm assuming, has the rights to some Crumb stuff. I didn't know that. I noticed that. A lot of times you'll see the Monera in there. I like this one. Another storybook called Cold Day in Hell. I like this. I like the inking of it. I like the black and white. Great faces and stuff. I like again, it's got that kind of brush. I'm going to always say Paul Pope because he's the one that I feel like really epitomizes that kind of look. But it does have a little bit of that kind of Paul Pope kind of feel to it a bit. Just if you look the way that is done, that's something Paul Pope would do. That's got that kind of loose brushes, not fully all the way across. So I like that. I think this is good black and white. Now that I said that though, this would probably do really well colored. I don't think colors would. If you did the right colors, maybe flats even, you just did some flats, I think that would make it look really cool. Again, this is pretty much trash. I'm trying to think if I see anything here now, but it's just junk. That's just the way that is. Oh, we're back to Gilgamesh. Look at this right here. This is really nice. Even both of these. But that's really nice. This, just the way that the figures are kind of lounging on that couch and on the bed. Yeah. Almost has a watercolor. There's times when it has a kind of a watercolor feel to it. But I'm pretty sure it's digitally painted, but it's really well done. I feel like we see this pose a million times. It's That's a pose we see all the time. It's kind of fun though. Not much words. I mean, you're reading through this pretty quick. It's just like you're busting some heads. I love battles. I love these, like, I like the costume designs and stuff. This kind of stuff. It's just really cool to see, you know, all the work that goes into this. All the work that goes in. It reminds me of these kind of biblical things, right? These big biblical battles you'd see these illustrations for. It's really kind of neat. It's a nice image too. That's really well done. Yeah. Heavy metal. It's heavy metal, baby. Okay, what's this here? Hottest channel on the internet. What is this? The website. Oh, heavymetal.com. See all kinds of stuff. Cripex. Oh yeah, here's some Cripex. I can't get into him. Comment on some things that I need to get into, because I need something good of his, so I can like really get a sense of it. I like these little strips and stuff. These are fun. They're cute. And then some kind of ridiculousness. Don't know what, Justin Norman. Okay, another illustrator. That looks just like that Beasley one. I mean, if that's not a freaking... Oh, it's Moriat. So, yeah, that still looks a lot like Beasley. Moriat does... Wait a minute. Oh, that's who Justin Norman is. I get it now. Justin Norman. So, Moriat, he's done some stuff for... Richard Starkings for Elephant Man. And I actually like his stuff. He's done also some work for DC. He did some Jonah Hex. I like his stuff. It's kind of a interesting little like cartoony kind of like exaggerated parts of the body, but I really dig it. Is he in LA? He must be. Huh, it just mentions like the 405 and I was going to Yeah, I like his stuff. It's kind of weird to put him at the very end, but whatever. There you go. So that is that. Okay, boys and girls, that was heavy metal. So thanks a lot for watching, checking out the channel. Feel free to watch all the other stuff I got going on. And have a great week. That is it for The Art of Comics. I'm your host, Andres Salazar. Have a good one, guys. Bye.